Hello everyone, and now welcome to Game 3 in the series between Slivko versus ToD, all tied up at one game apiece. And even though we are all tied up, I gotta say that Slivko has been playing a little bit better. ToD not up to snuff today. He hasn't been really making the right decisions in many of his matchups. But then again, Slivko is coming at him with a very, I guess, not unusual, but not your standard plays of Zerg. Going for early Mutalisk, and I don't believe ToD really goes for early Stargate. We've seen early Stargate in the arsenal of many Protoss players for Phoenixes to try and do a little bit of harassment and make sure that Mutalisks don't become a problem. In the first game, Mutalisk did become a problem rather quickly. In game 2, ToD actually went for a little bit of a weird cannon rush to shut down the natural expansion. Slivko was still able to get up on two bases rather easily, and ToD was not aware of it. So by the time he actually scouted it out, Queen's Creep and the hatchery was already there ready to go, and ToD did end up being a little bit behind. Slivko got a little bit too cute, tried to use Swarm Host, tried to use Nidus Worms to get back into the game. Things went from bad to worse very, very easily, and now we are in game 3 with everything on the line. So far, Slivko is doing a good job moving around the map, getting some good scouting action in. Slivko making sure to keep one Overlord at his ramp just in case a probe tries and runs by. Meanwhile, ToD is going for a Nexus first as well, and very, very interesting, as he is also building his Forge back at home. This is a strategy that is very, very reminiscent of, I believe, a two-base Forge or two-base all-in, as even if you do get Zergling rushed very early, you still have your Forge back at home, and you can still get some Photon Cannons down. Once that Forge is done, once you get a couple Photon Cannons down inside your main base, you should normally have an economic advantage since your opponent sacrificed so much to get those Zerglings onto the field. Now, 19 to 26, 19 to 26, we are still neck and neck at this point. Hatchery is being placed down here. So far, Overlord is wandering out across as we are going for a gateway and now a Photon Cannon on the front door. Photon Cannon, Cybernetics Core to follow once that gateway is done, and this does have the appearances of a two-base all-in by ToD. Meanwhile, Slivko is going for a very, very fast three-base. Based upon the locations, though, ToD is actually in a little bit of a dangerous situation. When he attacks, he'll be coming in and he'll be kind of caught in this low ground area here. He will be forced to deal with the main army coming down this ramp from the natural and the main base, but at the same time, he may have to deal with reinforcements flanking him from the side. This area is rather wide open, and sentries will run out of force fields very quickly. Cybernetics Core is now down. We should be perhaps seeing level 1 weapons upgrades coming in just a second, as well as the Pylon is here as well. And taking a look at this, oh my gosh, this is going to be extremely close. We need about another 5 more seconds for the Pylon to be done here, and it only needs about another 10 seconds for the hatchery. Can we get 2 Photon Cannons and perhaps another Pylon here to force a cancellation here? This would be a huge, huge play. Slivko finishing that building now spots the hatchery, and what is he going to be doing? You can see there is that third Photon Cannon ready to go. Are the Zerglings going to be doing anything at all? Even throwing in a 4th Photon Cannon, I don't really know if that's necessary, as we are seeing the drones now make their way over. All right, Pylon is in position. Photon Cannons are now up, and this hatchery will fall, but it is a very, very expensive kill here, as ToD will have these Photon Cannons and Pylons here pretty much not doing anything once this hatchery does go down. Now, with this hatchery out of the way, Slivko will be stuck on 2 bases just like ToD, but at the same time, Slivko has an enormous drone advantage, 42 to 33. Broodlings now making their way out. The Broodlings, however, not going to be doing anything at all, as the last of the drones do come into play. One poor larva. Oh, if it wanders around the wrong way, there it goes. Finally taken down. All right, Queen now laying down a couple of creep tumors, perhaps attempting to establish up a base here. There is a mothership core already, and the mothership core is going to start to put pressure here. This is going to be problematic as Queens can easily fight in a one-on-one fight against the mothership core. The mothership core wants to back off, but he is now going to be expanding towards his opponent. Slivko now in a very, very odd situation. Is he going to be able to defend this third base? Meanwhile, we are looking at Zerglings perhaps trying to do a run by a bit later. There is one photon cannon here, as we are looking at a Stalker and a Zealot in this engagement. All right, Queen may actually suffer a lot of damage. Are we perhaps going to see a Time Warp? Once it gets back on creep, it is going to be able to escape. One final shot. There it goes, as a drone now going to get taken down here. Meanwhile, one poor drone going to fall. There it goes as well. The Queens now making their way over. Mothership core being forced to back off. There's a Time Warp. All those Queens moving, I could not believe, any possibly slower. The same movement speed as an Overlord in the old days, as the Zealots are now trying to put down that pressure. The problem is the income, though. 44 to 49. His opponent does still have a better income. ToD still does not have that big of an advantage yet, as he is now going into Stargates. Dual Stargates, perhaps having that spider sense, knowing that a Spire is going to be coming in, and this is looking good for ToD now. He is already going to be able to build the counters. No, what is this? A Zergling's able to sneak through, bad warp in, and what is this? A handful, not even a handful, more than a dozen Zerglings have made their way inside the base. This is going to be rather difficult. Meanwhile, we can see that the double Stargates have been scouted out. The Zerglings now going after the probes. Zealots trying to clean this up here, not working out well at all. And all of that ground that ToD was working so hard to gain is pretty much now out the window, as he is not mining at this time. Zealots trying to clean up the proxy pylon here. There's those double Stargates. You can see that the Phoenixes will be coming out in just a moment. Infestation Pit now coming in, as well as the Mothership Core now has arrived. We will be seeing what's going to be happening here, as the Zerglings cannot do very much of anything. Stalker in there as well. Another probe. One goes down. Another probe gets taken down there. Up to 6 worker kills. 7 now by Slivko, as Slivko does take down a forward proxy pylon as well. Losses still higher for Zerg. Income still higher for Zerg. And this is a rather unusual story, as the Zerg player is fighting to get himself onto 3 bases. ToD with a 20 supply advantage, but will he come out ahead? Zealots, Mothership Core now on the move. Level 1 weapons upgrades have been completed, but we now see that Slivko smartly goes for Infestors instead. All right, 30 seconds to complete. Oh, that timing so perfect. Right as the pathogen glands are done, those Infestors will be making their way out, as all of those Overlords now in a little bit of trouble. They need to retreat back. Another Overlord off over here could get shot down in just a moment. There are Queens there as well. The Queens could get picked apart, as the Overlords trying to retreat isn't going to be enough. Queens, 3 of them now ready to go. Meanwhile, Stalkers, Zealots, and a Sentry making their way over to this base. Another Overlord has been shot down. Infestors now have arrived. Queens are in position. And Infestors, such a strong counter, as infested Terrans could easily shoot down many of those Phoenixes. Meanwhile, Fungal Growth stopping all of those units in their tracks. Now, Slivko has a second resource, essentially. Anytime you can trade time or energy for units, you have a major advantage. With Slivko and the number of Infestors on the field, those Infestors are essentially gathering a resource. Once they get maxed out or close to max out, they are going to be trying to engage once more, and those Infestors have a lot of resources. They could easily destroy this front door location here, or even try to lob infested Terrans over that wall. Income is still higher for the Zerg, as we now see that there are multiple buildings being added. There's the infested Terrans. They are trying to just lob over the wall here. Queens are now coming in. This is a Queen infested Terran army, as so many infested Terrans have made their way forward. Infested Terrans now fighting back. It looks as though we are going to be going into some graviton beams. Queens transfusing the infestors to keep them alive. And yes, it does stay alive there at maximum health. Infested Terrans just pushing forward, and Slivko using a wide array of units in this best of 3 series and it looks like he's been able to do the impossible, being down by 30 supply and down a base early against a Protoss, and now he looks like he is coming in with the advantage again. All right, there's some transfusions again to save those infestors, and that's the second energy unit. The queens with those transfusions have been keeping these infestors alive. And Slivko, I don't believe, really lost anything in that fight. Coming back around. Oh, excuse me. Phoenix is fighting back over here. ToD losing quite a bit. Slivko up on 3 bases with very heavy saturation. Now finally taking down all of these photon cannons here. Just going to be sacrificing infested Terrans. No real loss whatsoever. Infested Terrans getting taken down here. Only a handful of infested Terrans are left, and the Zerglings will come to clean up everything else. There it goes. Meanwhile, also starting a ninja expansion on the top right. It is going to be a 5-base Zerg compared to a 3-base Protoss in just a moment. And what looked like an easy game for ToD now is an uphill battle, as Slivko was able to just battle his way through. 69 probes versus 67 drones. Now, what's going to be happening next, as we are already up to 17 infestors on the field, more on the way. 17 infestors and a number of queens, 12 queens on the field as well, and those queens should be laying down some more creep tumors. More creep tumors means more of an area to fight. We can see that a 4th base now coming in from ToD, but it may be too little, too late, especially with this ninja expansion on the top right here. So far, the main base looks like it will be mining out in just a moment. Zergling's gonna catch this Nexus right as it gets canceled. Couple of zealous zealots getting taken down right as they warp in, as we're now looking at an engagement. So far, the Corruptors are going to get sniped down by those photon cannons. Void Rays are in position. Here we go. You can see a whole bunch of just infestors coming here, and this could be a very, very dangerous engagement. The main army is here, and if they try to go down the ramp, they're just going to get fungal growth in just an instant. This is a very bad position for ToD to be in, as Slivko still has so many units to try and macro up. Meanwhile, a handful of zealots will take down that base before it gets up and running. Meanwhile, infested Terrans are being lobbed over the wall. There they go. Infested Terrans now engaging. There's some fungal growth as well. The infestors now finally dying, but at what cost? A couple of Mothership Core very low on hit points, as the infested Terrans are just shooting their way through this natural wall. All of these units will be falling here. So many production buildings lost in just a moment, as we now see that the Void Rays are suffering damage from these infested Terrans, when the infested Terrans will be gone in just a split second. Here you go. I believe all the infestors have already retreated. Yes, they are burrowed and now retreating back. Meanwhile, Zerglings trying to pick off what is left here. Beautiful transfusions, saving queens, and those queens are just, some of them even have maximum energy, able to take down so many of those Void Rays. ToD unable to push back just the queens of Slivko's army, as we now see a photon overcharge cleaning up a handful of Zerglings as well. Infestors now making their way perhaps back onto that creep. They will be able to charge down this door here, as Slivko with a 70 hit point advantage will get cleaned up. All right, it looks as though, yes, feedback coming in on from the High Templar to try to take down the last of these units. The queens with level 1 armor absorbing a lot of damage. Zealots are still off over here. You can see that the ninja expansion over here to the top right was cleaned up as well. And now ToD feeling that he has maybe perhaps a bit of a chance, as it is 3 bases to 2, not realizing that his army is 49 compared to 120. Honey gave a sigh when she heard that. Zerglings now going to go ahead and take down these zealots here, but I believe this is going to be the beginning of the end. There's not much that ToD can really do, being down 60 supply, being down 70 supply in terms of army is just never a good situation to be in. His income significantly less when you consider the amount of gas being harvested, as we now see ToD trying to establish this base here for the 3rd time. Zergling's going to be charging up that ramp, It looks as though the photon cannon will be done. Zerglings will all get cleaned up. It will take some amazing micro from ToD and the use of these high Templars with beautiful Psi Storms to really make any real difference. And it is going to be even more difficult as we now see perhaps the Broodlord cocoons making their way out. Broodlord is going to be taking this down as well. And it looks like there was a pause for just a moment. Apparently Slivko, ordering some pizza or some food at the door, is now ready to play again. 197 versus 126. 20 infestors ready to go. Broodlords right behind it. Long distance mail dropping off those kids, and there you have it. Photon cannons will all get destroyed here, and this is just going to whittle away. No real reason in trying to challenge these broodlings, as the broodlings will just trade their momentary life, their 2 seconds of glory, for a photon cannon very, very quickly. Here you have it. The Zerglings have charged their way through. Queens are there to back things up. And this is what happens when a Zerg player is able to get up onto a 4 gas. Just build everything. Infestor, Broodlord, nowhere near as strong as it was in Heart of the Swarm. Or, sorry, in Wings of Liberty. But still very, very good, especially with all of this Queen support. It looks as though this base will be falling here in just a moment, as ToD now still doing a very, very slow movement to the last mining base now. Alright, it looks as though another base trying to be established. This Broodlord army is rather slow. Perhaps ToD can try and use speed on his side, and now he is going into Tempest. The Tempest, however, only you would pause again where there's 30 seconds left. Slivko pretty much knowing that he has the game in the bag. There's the GG. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.